15 overtime games, as you saw there. 79-78 is your final. Florida State took the lead in overtime on a pair of Raekwon Evans free throws. This game went back and forth. There was a chance late in regulation. But when it hit zeros in OT, it's Florida State with a 1-point advantage on number 6 Duke as they fall for the third time this season.
Well, for more on Tuesday night in college hoops, our CBS Sports bracketologist Jerry Palm joins us now. Jerry, we've got to start with that most exciting game of the night, Duke at Florida State. It went to overtime, as we just saw, before the Seminoles took down the visitors. I mean, this is an unranked Florida State team that has had tournament experience in the past. So do you think that this really could serve as a catalyst for them for the remainder of the season?
Well, we'll have to see, but certainly, it's a game that you can build on and get a lot of confidence in. So we'll have to see if Florida State can do that going forward in the ACC, where you basically have Duke and then a lot of other teams in a pile way behind them. Florida State can emerge from that pile, then they've got a chance. But for Duke, this is a loss that's going to knock them off the top line of the bracket, might even knock them down to a 3 seed because it's so competitive among the, say, top 10 teams in the bracket. So we'll have to see where Duke actually ends up, and there's more games to play for some of those teams yet between now and the next bracket on Friday. But this is definitely a loss that hurts Duke in terms of trying to compete for a number 1 seed.
So a good night for Florida State, but also it was a good night for Miami. They picked up their most impressive win of the season as they cruised to a 28-point win over their ACC rival North Carolina. But looking at this conference as a whole, Jerry, what stands out to you about it from a bracketology standpoint?
Just the fact that it's Duke and a massive gap to the rest of the league. Miami, prior to tonight, North Carolina and Wake Forest were the only other 3 teams from the ACC in the bracket, and they were all double-digit seeds. Duke was a 1. So there's 9 seed lines between Duke and the rest of the league. Carolina losing by 100 tonight, 28, is probably going to knock them out of the bracket. Maybe Florida State takes their spot, maybe someone else, because it's also very competitive at the bottom of the bracket because all of those teams look the same in different ways. But Miami certainly figures to move up with the big win over North Carolina on the heels of the win at Duke. Miami looks to be the number 2 right now, but of course that could change as the season goes on.
Well, talking of conferences, we'll talk about the Big 12 as a whole in a second, but let's start with Baylor because they started their season 15-0 before losing their last 2 before Tuesday night, but they did bounce back against West Virginia to avoid the 3-game skid. So how do you evaluate where the Bears are at this point in their season, Jerry?
Well, I think Baylor is still a number 1 seed type of team, and it's because of the high-quality wins that they've picked up both in non-conference play and in conference play because the Big 12 is so strong. Almost every win they pick up in that league is boosting their resume some. West Virginia is a team that was in the bracket. This is a road win over an NCAA Tournament quality team, and that's always a boost to your resume. And Baylor has the advantage of playing in a strong league and having played a reasonably good non-conference schedule. They have a cushion when they have a bad week like the one they just had.
So Baylor hand the Mountaineers their first loss of the season at home. The Bears, though, just one of 5 ranked teams in the Big 12. So big picture here, looking at the conference as a whole, what stands out to you from a bracketology outlook?
Nearly every team in this league has got a chance to make the bracket, except Oklahoma State, who's ineligible, and probably Kansas State, who's not a bad team, but just is going to probably suffer in comparison to the other 8 who are going to compete for spots in the field. Now, the record in terms of percentage from a conference to get in the NCAA tournament is 70%, 7 of 10, which Big 12 has done a few times. They have a good chance of matching that this year. It's unlikely they'll exceed it because they're just going to beat each other up too much and someone's going to suffer. But 7 teams out of this league again this season would not be a big surprise.
Jerry Palm wrapping up Tuesday night in college hoops and what this means as we get one step closer to March. Jerry, thank you so much. And here is a look at some of the notable games we have got coming up Wednesday night. Villanova hosts Marquette on CBS Sports Network, and 3 SEC matchups on tap. LSU at Alabama, Kentucky at Texas A&M, and number 2 Auburn will host Georgia to cap the night.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.